apologize about that, but let me get back on track here. Griffin Money says, I have a serious question. Where can I go look for the info to tell if there are shorts still open from when AMC was under current price? Where can I get that information? And I would simply, I think the best thing you can do is you can just look at short interest, Griffin. So I'm going to take you to another page here, and then show you. Because it really doesn't matter whether there's old short interest or there's new short interest, unless that was all interest that could be closed out if price were to start running immediately. But so all you really got to do is just look at exchange reported short interest. It doesn't really matter if it's old, new, or what. I'm going to pull it up on the page here and just show you that historically speaking, and I'll pull this back to January of last year, exchange reported short interest for AMC was sitting at 37 million shares, and it's this green line that you see here. We're not the highest that we've ever seen. We're sitting at just underneath 100 million as it stands right now of short interest, exchange reported short interest. So it is very high. One thing that you sometimes or oftentimes, and I would actually say that there's more than this that's being reported. This is only what's being self-reported. But one of the things that you can also do is you can look at on loan average age per day. Not all short interest will show up as loans, um, but some of it, most of what's being reported on this chart is. So in the average age per day, and this is, remember, this is average age per day, right? You have no idea how long these loans have been open for, but the average age per day on these loan shares that are out there right now is at 56.91 days. So you could have some that are open for 150 days and some that are open for zero, like it's just open within this last week. And when you look at the average age of all those loans that are sitting there, your average age per day is 56.91. And that's out of all the shares that are on loan currently. So out of the short interest that we have that's open, which is just under 100 million shares, shares on loans at actually 185 million shares, and that makes up the rest of the shares that are being loaned out, and that's where your on loan average age per day comes from. Yes, that's correct. Um, yes, anything that's open that would be above current price would be in the money, technically, but not necessarily making money. It all depends on um, it all depends on how long it's been open for, right? Like, say for example, you take out a home loan. Let's say you take out a home loan and you start paying interest on it. Like the longer you have your interest that you're paying on your home loan, the more money you're out, right? You're out more money the longer you continue to loan out the money that you have for your house. Well, same thing goes with short interest. The longer that they hold their position for, the more interest that they're having to pay on those loaned shares, and so they're losing money as they're holding their positions. So while it may technically be in the money to where they could close the position, it's not necessarily making them money. So they couldn't necessarily, they could close it and just lose some money. But the other portion to that, Griffin, that you got to understand is that they got to have shares to return. If they don't have shares to return those loaned shares, unless it's naked shorting, right? But if they don't have shares to return for the short interest that is open, they're not going to be able to close out the positions. So they gotta have it's two different factors you gotta think about. You gotta think about how many shares do they need to return if they're going to close those positions, right? They gotta find those shares and return them. Uh, and then also how long that they've been making or they've been losing money on the interest that they've been paying out on those loans. So there's a multi-tier thing that you're looking at here, and the origination fees. They have origination fees as well for loan shares. So, and they're paying, right now you can see some of the origination fees on like AMC are like 19%, really high numbers. So, for example, if we were to have like a massive run on price any given, I mean, we've seen several times where price just starts running out of, out of nowhere, like yesterday, right? If price runs massively out of control, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, they've got most of their inventory now out of the money, they're stuck. They're absolutely just stuck because they're not going to find the shares, number one. And the higher the price goes, assumes infinite losses to the top side. So all I would really do, if just looking at it from our perspective, just look at how much short interest is open, because that's what really is what makes the big difference, is how much short interest there is currently compared to the past. That's what matters. And right now that's sitting at basically 100 million shares on AMC. So let me get to the numbers. That was a really great question. Hopefully that answers some things for you. Nope, there's more questions. Hold on. Let's see. But aren't shares returned every day? They are. There are borrowed shares every single day and shares returned every single day. How would they find the shares? And cost to borrow is yearly, though. So it is, cost to borrow is yearly. That is correct, but fees are not. Origination fees for borrowing of the shares is not a yearly fee. It is a straight up fee right now. It's just like your closing fees on a home, right? I always take it back to home loans because a lot of people are familiar with those. If you want to create an origination fee for loaning of the shares, you've got your fee and then you've got your cost to borrow. And so it's costing them every single time they take out these loans. It's costing them to take them out. 19% straight off the top, and then they get charged a yearly of 20. Right now we're sitting at 26% or something like that. And yes, they are being open and closed on a daily basis. And usually, and this is why I cover the numbers every single morning, Griffin. Usually, the reason that I cover the numbers in the morning is because I like to cover how many shares were open and closed on a daily basis, and knowing how much of those are new versus old, because I monitor that on loan average age per day, and I compare it to uh, where loan movements are happening, right? So if you have, for example, a large return of shares, but the on loan average age per day uh, uh, is still increasing, what does that tell you? It tells you very instantly that the returned shares that just came back from the previous day were all brand new shares. Because if they were old shares, your on loan average age per day would dip. It wouldn't skyrocket, right? Because now you've got your newer loans who are dropping your average off the books, and it's going to cause your on loan day per average, sorry, average per day on loan skyrocketing. So it's really important to take a look at those numbers and understand the relationship to what's being returned and what's not being returned. And I look at it every morning, first thing after 30 minutes after market open, and I look at that and kind of discuss it.